If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, I'd save every day like a treasure, and then again I would spend them with you. You guys should know this part. But there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I've looked around enough to know you're the one I want to go through time with. Thanks. Okay, that's good enough, right? You're the one I want to go through time with. Hey guys, welcome to Belle's Bargains. My name is Amy. I was reading it, then he said something, and then it throws me off. But it was, you're the one I want to go through time with. And then it goes again. If I had a box just for wishes. Anyway, we should all know who sings that, but in case you don't, if you want to know anything about that song, stick around, listen to the voiceovers. I'm going to give you a little bit of history. All right, guys, so today is just Amy crafting a t-shirt and some sweatshirts. Why? Because when I came down to Mexico, I brought a couple things with me, and I'm like, yeah, they're really too big, and I kind of want to mess with them. But it all started mostly because the t-shirt that I have on right now, you'll see in the video, it's a Cabo Wabo t-shirt. So Cabo Wabo is, what's his name's bar here in Cabo San Lucas. What's his name? I'm gonna get yelled at in the comments. Anyway, it's a famous bar here. And when we found out we were coming here, my very good friend Debbie had been down here, and she'd gone to Cabo Wabo, and she got this t-shirt. She says, I wore it once, I'm never gonna wear it again, I'm giving it to you. But I hated the neckline. I don't like necklines on t-shirts. At a certain age, like, you just need to let it all fall a little bit more. Well, not all. But anyway, I think it was Oprah Winfrey. I've said this before, who said at some point that once you hit 50, you should never wear like t-shirts like this. And also, you should always own a pair of gold sandals. Anyway, ever since then. Okay, so not that she's a guru, but you know. All right, so this t-shirt, I just did the simplest thing with a collar, and I love it. Let me just show you what I did. This is so super easy. I'm just going to cut the neckline now. By the way, there's the logo, Cabo Wabo. It's Sammy Hagar's bar. And I've got my really good sewing scissors, which I tell you guys this all the time, but always use really good sewing scissors. So I'm off screen here, but I started cutting at the shoulder, and I just put a little slit into it and then started following the neckline very closely. However, as often happens when we're crafting or sewing, non-sewing, we do make mistakes every now and again, and I was just careless when I first cut into this, putting a gash on the shoulder that went farther into the t-shirt than the neckline, and you'll see that here in just a second. And that's okay, this is a t-shirt, so this is pretty easily fixed. I do this anyway after I cut a neckline out. I go around and just cut off anything that's doesn't look straight or whatever, and in this case, I'm just going to round it out a little bit further on the back of the neckline to tie in my super large gash right there. So anyway, so just don't make the same mistake I do. But normally when you cut t-shirts like this, you're up on the shoulders. Oftentimes you have to cut it in a little bit because it almost leaves a triangle. I'm cutting that off here right now. And this is it. Like, the rest of this is so simple. I'm just going to make tiny little cuts all the way around, giving it sort of a feathered look, or a tasseled look, or a feathered look, I think, on the whole thing. All right, so enough about the t-shirt, because you see what I'm doing now. Let me give you a little bit of Jim Croce history. Okay, so Jim Croce's song, Time in a Bottle. Most significantly, what's really tender and touching about it is he wrote this song after his wife Ingrid told him that she was pregnant in December of 1970. Now I'm going to come back and tell you a whole bunch more about this song that's very interesting. But first, to know it was an emotional beginning. So simple, right? So the one thing when you're cutting collars, I did nothing to the sleeves because they're just taut enough. The length of it is perfect. It fits me perfect. So all I did was cut the collar out. But when you do cut a collar out, like you do have to be pretty careful. And usually when you cut right here, you'll end up with sort of a little triangle in. So that's why I said you always have to go back and do a little trimming on your collars. All right, let's go to the next one. I think I'll put it on for you. Okay, here's this one. This one is so fun, you guys, but I'm gonna show you what it looked like originally and what I did to it. And this is what this started out as, I tell you in the video, but it was a 4X sweatshirt. You can't really see right here, sorry you guys. I don't have a really good place to film these things, but it was a 4X sweatshirt. So here's history of it. We went to a, it probably would have fit Effingham, you're right. We went to a Harley Davidson store and they had all this stuff on clearance. If you don't know, Marcus has a Pan American Harley Davidson. And so I used to ride with him when we were in the States, but since we got in here, I haven't. A couple things, because of the arthritis, I don't feel like I'm strong enough to hold on. And secondly, it's a new bike and I didn't ride on it there. And the streets here are so, because we got it like 2 days before we left. The streets here are so bumpy that I'm like not super comfortable. It's a lot of, anyway, and a Pan American is a street and a dirt bike, just FYI in case you don't know. Okay, now, so there's where we are. And so I was buying Harley gear too because I'd go riding with him almost every weekend. So this sweatshirt was on clearance for like $10. $10 for a Harley Davidson piece of clothing in general is cheap. If you don't know, I am telling you. So I picked it up and I go, no, I'll just redo it. So I did. So let me just show you what I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a 4X. We got a lot of extra room in the sleeves. We've got a lot of extra room here. It's almost dress length. So I'm gonna redo it. In the back, there's a nice Harley Davidson patch. Oh, do you want to show the patch? It's a nice little Harley Davidson patch. And it has like this, it's got the Harley Davidson emblem, sort of like, I don't know, it's embellished on there somehow. Okay, so I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna completely redo it and make it, I'm not sure exactly if I'm gonna make it a dress, just a big shirt, or like a jacket sort of thing. Anyway, but we're gonna have some fun with it. So we're gonna start the same way I usually do with projects like this, and that's cutting the neck out. So I'm just cutting along the neck band there, okay? Nothing more. Now you'll notice when you saw this sweatshirt on me, it sort of has a boat neck on it, but that's because of what I do to it after this. So I'm just, again, trimming it up to make sure that where I've cut there looks even. All right, and then we're going to start with the sleeves because they're like 4 times too long. So I'm just getting it folded in half, following the seam on the bottom of the sleeve. And then I'm folding it up because this is my distance. That bottom half of the sleeve, I'm actually not gonna cut into. And so I'm just giving myself a measurement that I can copy exactly on the other sleeve. So that's important. Like if you have chalk, you can mark things with chalk, but I'm doing it just with the folds because the fold's gonna be the same on the other side. Okay, so I start right there where that fold is, where my first cut is. Now this first cut's not gonna be as deep because the first tie is gonna be not as deep because you're gonna, it bunches up too much, so you give yourself a stair step sort of the bunching. So the first one's not as long, and then they can get progressively longer as you go up. Now, this is a wooden spoon because I don't have a ruler here, and it's the perfect measurement. So I just put on there like, how deep do I want my cuts? And then I put a mark there. And this is gonna give me my distance between cuts and my depth, both. So I'm just gonna go on up the sleeve doing this. But while I'm doing that, let me just tell you a little bit more about Jim Croce. So I told you he wrote that song when his wife told him he was pregnant. But here's a really interesting fact, although we know it was an emotionally written song. Jim Croce died in February of 1973. But guess when it became popular? In December of that year. So it's a posthumously famous, or it became a hit posthumously for Jim Croce, which is not a very common occurrence. And so I had to look it up. There's an artist that did it first, which will probably be the next song I sing. But he, as it turns out, for his career, most of his big hits, like I think all but 2 of them, became hits posthumously. So after he died, which is in a way is so sad. Although I would hope that that helped support his wife and son. So he only had the one son. Ingrid was his wife. His son's name is AJ, and who, as an adult, has a song that will forever remind him of his father's love for him. Okay, how about we get back to this sweatshirt? So here you can see what I've done after I cut all the way up and I cut all the way through to the neckline, which is what ends up giving us the boat neckline. And then I started cutting them in half and tying them, which I do all the way down the sleeve. But we still have a lot of length in this sleeve, and so I'm taking the band from the neck and I'm cutting it here, and this is going to give me some thin strips of the same material. So I'm just cutting off all the seam parts of it, and then I'm going to cut it in half, and it's basically going to give me 2 pieces of string that are the same material. I never throw anything away when I'm cutting apart these sweatshirts or t-shirts or whatever, because it's still material that can be used as ribbon, basically, or thread or string or whatever for anything that you make in the future even. So once I have it cut in half, now what I'm going to do is bunch the shoulder part of this all together. So I'm going to weave this piece of string, quote unquote, into starting at the seam of where the shoulder portion begins, and I'm just going to weave it in and out, and then I'm going to pull it together and tie it, and it's almost cinching that whole top portion of the t-shirt together. And again, this really brings it to the boat neck because it's now getting elongated, right? As opposed to the super big round circle, we're sort of elongating it. So that's a way that you can eat up some slack in a large piece of clothing, and that's just to cinch it. So this is completely no sew, so obviously I didn't sew to cinch it, but I'm using the material that the t-shirt had with it. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to the next part, which is the bottom of this. I do exactly the same thing to the other side, obviously, so my 2 sleeves are exactly the same. And after I wove this back and through, I just knotted it and cut it off, and you can't even tell it's in there because of course it's the exact same material, right? And it helped to really bunch that. So now I'm going to cut off the band on the bottom, again being very careful, following the seam that's already provided for you there, right? And I was really torn. There was a couple of ways I could have taken this sweatshirt. I could have just cut it up the center and made it like a wrap and added a tie onto it. I really wanted to use it more as a sweatshirt though, so I decided just to eat up some of the slack that needs to be taken up in this shirt. So this is where I folded it in half. I find where the center of the shirt is in the back, and I'm going to do the exact same process where I'm just going to cut slits in it. I almost cut through both sides right there. And I was like, oops, Amy, pull the front out. I'm just going to cut slats up the back. Now, depending how big it is, will tell you how many slats you should cut up. So I'm not going to tell you the amount that I do on any of this, but what I will tell you is the same process where you cut the last one a little bit shorter. I do it in the end, and then I'm just going to cut up and knot. So at first I thought I would weave it, but then I was like, no, let's stick with what it already was, which was knots. And I can see where the center is, by the way, there. Okay, so, and I pulled on them and stretch them because that helps you get the length that you need for your knotting. And then once I did this, I tried it on and there was still a whole bunch of slack. So I went back to the t-shirt and then I just found the center between the center. So basically we're 25, 25, yeah. Anyway, I folded it in half again. My knots meeting the seam, and then found the center between the side seam and the knots there, and did not cut up as far, okay? So we're tapering it just slightly, less cut up on the side ones as on the center one. And then I just fold it over, lay it down so that I can match it exactly for my distance of cutting. Okay, and then that was pretty much it. Put the t-shirt, sweatshirt on, and I kind of liked the way that it all came out. You guys will have to tell me what you think of it. but there are different ways you can do different sweatshirts. So if nothing else, don't ever be afraid, like I said, to buy a piece of clothing that's a little bit too large, but you just love the design. Go on Pinterest, do some Pinterest searching and see what you can find out. Or get inspired by. I don't know. Anyway, so that was it for this one. I'm going to put it on here in a second for you so you can see exactly how it came out. Okay, so here's this one. I shouldn't have had black pants on. But what did I do with this one? So obviously I've cut the collar out and knotted the sleeves. I'm going to show you exactly everything I did on it. But do you remember in the video, there was this emblem back here. By the way, that's why I have my hair up, just so I could do this video. But there's the emblem back there, right? Now, and my hair's a mess because I keep putting t-shirts on and sweatshirts on. So, again, look at it the front way. I really didn't do anything to the front. It's just a really fun on the sleeves and on the shoulder. This is super fun, flowy, cute. I didn't cut off the sleeves. On this one, I kind of liked it with the longer. And I'm thinking about cutting the thumb hole in there, but for right now, I'm just leaving it like this. But you wanna know the very best part? Watch this. Oh, did we talk about the back? Can't see when I'm filming, but I did all that tying everything up the back. But here's the best part. So the emblem, when I got this sweatshirt, was on the back. And I liked it, because it says Harley Davidson. So, basically, I'm flipping the shirt around so that I can see the Harley Davidson, and you get this cute little bunching in the front. Yeah. Which way do you like it better? Backwards or forwards? There we go. Boom. Let me know in the comments below. Which way do you like it better? I like it better backwards, just FYI. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you guys just a couple things. So, when I showed that where I gathered it just a little bit more on the shoulders. So that was just to pull it, sorry, I just flipped it around, sitting in the stool here. So that was just to pull it here just a little bit more, pull off some of the length here and just gather it. Doesn't this look almost like, this could be a crow costume, like feathers almost, right? I love this. And when I turn it around, it's super cute in the gathering in the front. This would look adorable with like a pair of white, what do you call them? You know, pants, white stretchy pants. What are they called? What do you call them? Anyway, those. So, and you guys, I'm a bigger girl, but I have no problem being a little flashy or a little bit different in what I wear because I like to enjoy my clothing. And one thing I love about this, there's plenty of room, so it feels really comfortable. And this is what we call a boat neck. So one of the things is that when you do a boat neck, the reason I can turn this around, because it's actually a more correct boat neck in the back than it is in the front from when it got cut and just the layout of the initial, oh, that's just too much information. But I guess what this one is just to let you know, like, don't be afraid to go look into those bigger sizes. I certainly don't wear a 4X. It's an XL. I don't wear a 4X. And nor does Marcus. He's a 2X. But so it was just a fun remake, and I even kept the embossed Harley Davidson on the side is still there. Okay, so this is really just a fun shirt. All right, so just let me know in the comments down below, front ways, back ways, because when I put it on backwards, this is just hangs really nicely, and it's pretty easy. Okay, this video is not going to do it justice. It's way cooler in person, you guys, I promise. All right, now the next one was another sweatshirt. And this sweatshirt I bought, I think it might have been a TJ Maxx or something like that. And it was on super clearance, like maybe $3, $4, like clearance. And again, it's like a, hold on, I'm looking at it. I'm going to go put it on for you. But is it a 2X? I think this one's a 2X. Let's look. It says 1X. Okay, so, which isn't really extra large. Anyway, depends on wherever. But it was just too big. I felt like I was wearing almost a muumuu. Now, a muumuu can be fun if you got like feathers on your arms and stuff, because this is kind of that way. But this one needed a little bit of help. So let me just show you the next sweatshirt. Okay, so here's this sweatshirt, and you can see it's like, it's kind of big. It just looks too big. Like the sleeves hang down too low, and there's just too much going on in the middle besides me. So let's do a couple things and see if we can make it look a little better. All right, so I'm not going to touch the neck on this one because the neck is pretty intricate with the crisscross in the back and all that, and it's already pretty low. So if I cut the neck out, it would have been falling off of me over the shoulders. But I hate the sleeves. Although it's a short sleeve, you can see there it's a short sleeve, it just comes down, just hangs down too far. And so I want to tighten it up so it's more fitted in the forearm. So I'm going to cut the band off of the sleeve there. And you can see I cut it off pretty, carefully, but we still had a couple of little places to trim it off. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So we're just going to cut that off. Both of those bands will be gone on the sleeves. Then I'd straighten it out a little bit because of the bunching from the band on it. It's really hard to get a good straight line, so you usually have to trim it up afterwards just to get it to be fairly straight or fairly untattered, because this is going to be the bottom of the sleeve. I'm not going to do anything else on here, so the cut is going to be the end of the material on the sleeve. So I'm going pretty slow, and I left this at regular speed just so you guys could see the actual speed in which I would straighten this up in. Because it's not something that you do fast. You really want to keep it kind of, anyway. And then I'm going to go to the other side and cut that little bit off there because, again, it's just not straight across yet. So take your time to get this to look right. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to take it on the bottom underneath seam, and I'm going to cut some slits in here because we need to tighten up the sleeve. So I'm just visually looking at my distance here. So I cut 1, 2, 3 slits. And then I'm going to cut off the seam part. Watch this. Boom. Okay, so now I have 2 pieces. Yeah? So I'm just going to cut that off. Bam. On all 3 of them. And then what am I going to do? You guys know what I'm going to do. I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side first because I want to match it up so that my cuts are exactly in the same spot. So I line everything up, and then I just set it right above it so I can see exactly what my distancing was. And I'm not too particular, you guys, because once it's knotted and all that, you really can't tell that much. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Cut the 3 and cut the seams off, and then I'm going to knot those ends together. And that really bunches up this sleeve nicely and gives it a tighter finish on the arm so it's not hanging down super low, because I'm sort of doing the opposite of what it is. It's really baggy and all that, and so I'm tightening up the arms so we don't have as much bag. And here again, we're just gonna knot those together. And I'm double knotting it. Do you guys see that? Like you go through, and then on any of this, because it won't stay unless you do the second knot there, right? You have to do that to get it to stay there. I don't know that I said that before in the other sweatshirt, but I guess that's pretty obvious that that's what you have to do. All right, and then once we're done here, we're gonna go to the bottom of the sweatshirt. So although it had a nice band on it, and I was like, should I just put elastic in it and scrunch it up tighter? But I really decided that I wanted to have a little more fun with it. And so, doesn't this look like bows, by the way, on the sleeve? I think it does, totally. So after I tried it on, I realized that I should probably add a few more slits. So I go back, and this is the second sleeve, and I do the 5, and then I try it on again and go, yeah, that's perfect, and then I fix the other one. So just don't be afraid to, try on while you're doing these things and just make sure it is what you want. So I end up with 5 slits on each sleeve. Now I'm going to cut the bottom off. We're going to cut that band off because I do decide I just don't want that. And so I'm just going to go with a really fun thing, which is we're just going to tie the whole bottom of this off, giving it just a fun little frill thing at the end of it. And what I didn't show you when I put the sweatshirt on was I take one of those arm bands and I put a slit in it. You're going to see here in a second. And I make myself a little scrunchie to match. So there you go. I mean, it worked. But this was just a fun little redo of a sweatshirt, and I hope you guys like this one as well. Okay, I did it. So, here's what I did. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to angle that down a little bit. Can you guys see it now? I don't have a good place to film this. So, I took the end, I cut it off, and I knotted it, which gave it a really cute sort of, it's just a little more, it didn't have the bunching of the, you know, the bottom. I don't know what that's called. Somebody tell me. Anyway, and then I took the sleeves and did the 5 slits and did the knots because it gave it just sort of a more fitted, it just looked better than the, because remember before, it hung down to here. Okay, so in the end, I think this is really cute. And what did I do? I took the armband, that's what it's called, the band. I took the armband and I made a scrunchie. So, hey, I kind of like this. I think it's just cuter now. What do you think? By the way, I know you just saw the t-shirt thing, but I thought I'd pop it. I remembered leggings. Leggings is what the last sweatshirt would look great with a pair of white leggings, which actually so would this one. So you saw what I just did to it, and I guess what this one, the reason it ended up being fine with what I did with it is because it really took that and sort of pulled those sleeves in and gave it a more fitted look on the arms. And then you have this, I know I'm keep adjusting, but you have sort of this billowy whatever. And so by putting the knots down there and it just sort of hanging, I know this is awful, but here, I'll do this. And so that it's just, still not enough, right? So that it's hanging like that, you sort of complete it, even though it's big in here. But it would be super cute with a pair of white leggings. Okay, I'm back up here. Anyway, and my hair, you guys, I've been putting sweatshirts and t-shirts on. All right, so there you go. That's a couple of redos of sweatshirts and one t-shirt. Super simple. So now I'm gonna do one for you right now, which is super simple. So I got this beautiful sweatshirt. It's from our Alaskan cruise. And I would love to just like cut it up the middle and make it sort of a sweatshirt jacket, but there's no pockets and I would want that. So this isn't gonna be one that I can do that with. So I just wanna wear it and it fits me fine. So the band on the bottom is fine. The band on the arms is fine. All I really wanna do is make it not look so like a man's sweatshirt. So I'm gonna put it on, show you the neck. Okay, so this is it. It fits fine. But it's like, I don't know how to explain it. But for me, I just don't like this collar line and it just doesn't seem to lay right. So I'm gonna do a super simple, just slice down the center, which is gonna give this a collar, which is gonna make it look a lot better. So I'm gonna take it off and do it on the camera for you. This is just a way to open up a neckline. So I'm not gonna cut the neckline off. I'm just gonna open it up. First of all, one of the reasons is because they have like this double, I don't know what you call it, but it's a well-made sweatshirt. So I bought it on our Norwegian cruise when we went to Alaska. And this says South America on it because they had the final day, they had a clearance in the gift shop, and we all know, Amy doesn't miss a clearance. So I went in there and it was like, you got 3 items for 35 bucks or whatever. So I got a hat that I wear all the time. I got this, and I think Mark's got a t-shirt. So anyway, I just thought the orange was really pretty. So all I'm gonna do is, again, open this up. So what you wanna do is fold whatever the item is. You can do this on shirts too, and find your very center. Do it this way too, I guess, right? That makes more sense. Okay, and once I have my center, I'm gonna sort of press it down. Now, I have really good scissors. These are Fiskars, and they're scissors for sewing. So I'm gonna say this every time I do this, always use good sewing scissors because otherwise you'll catch on your fabrics, you can mess everything up, and sewing scissors need to be sharpened every once in a while. I've had these sharpened in a while, but in the worst case scenario, you can cut aluminum foil to sharpen them. All right, so all I'm gonna do is, here's where my emblem starts, here's where my neckline is, here's where my elbows are, here's where my, I feel like I'm a teacher. Okay, So I'm just gonna put my scissors in smack dab in the center there. Ah, I'm doing it again. Okay. Sorry, I'm talking and trying to cut. And I'm just gonna go cut right in, basically maybe an inch above that logo. Cut, 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 cut. There we go. Yeah. You can do it all in one, it's the best because then you don't end up with any differences in your cut. Okay, so let me just go throw this on for you really quickly, and you're gonna see how it changes the neckline, and it's just a little more feminine looking, I think. I know that's politically incorrect to say, I'm sorry, but I'm going to. So hold. Okay, so now because I just cut it, it's just laying down. So one of the things with sweatshirt material is you always wanna sort of, after you've cut it, you kind of stretch it a little bit, and this is going to become a collar on this. It'll take just a little bit, and I'll pull with it and stretch it and, you know, lay it down. And then before long, I have a little collar on my, I know, it's not gonna lay down right now, but it will. And then I have a little collar on it, and it looks cuter, I think. That's just me. All right, guys, that's it. So everybody have a great, it will, I promise. One wash, and this will lay down, and it'll look cute. Okay, everybody have a great day, a great week, a great life. And as always, from your singing crafty crafter, if I could put time in a bottle. Well, I don't really want to put time in a bottle. Let's think about that. Why would I want to put time in a bottle? I don't know. Nobody should want to put time in a bottle. And nobody puts baby in the corner. Anyway, Jim Croce, love his music as well. What's the other one that he does? The moon one. I'll do When I Have Time, Son. Oh my gosh, that's gonna drive me crazy. Looked it up. I was totally wrong. Jim Croce is the song that I was thinking about, but his #1 song is also a favorite of mine. Well, that's Bad, Bad Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole damn town, badder than old King Kong, meaner than a junkyard dog, bottom. Okay, there you go. My collar is one wash. It'll be good. Also, just FYI, I could tack this down super easily with a little needle and thread. All right, everybody, that's it. We'll see you next time. Say goodbye, besties. I rambled a lot on today's video, didn't I? Well, it was a little bit different video, too, because I was doing clothes. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget, like, comment, share, subscribe, you know, that sort of stuff. And we'll see you next time here on Bella's Bargains. Thanks, guys. Toodles.